Hello, I am Ron Block with the Cuyahoga County Public Library, and this is Cuyahoga Cooks. During the pandemic, we ran a contest for people to submit family recipes and tell us about their family and the history of the recipe. And we chose some amazing winners, and we're going to present them to you today. Right now, we're going to follow along, and I'll make their recipes. We have interviews with each of the winners, and we are going to start now. First up, I want to introduce you to one of our winners, Doug Leake. He's from Mentor, Ohio, and he submitted a recipe called Chick in the Van. I know that we usually hear Chicken Divan, but the story behind this is fascinating and really fun and kind of heartwarming too. So why don't you take a look at my interview with him. Welcome, Doug. Thank you so much for submitting the recipe and the story. I think it's fantastic. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We were talking a little bit earlier about how you came to submit it and how you'd never really done anything like this before. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, let me start with the background of the recipe. It's called Chicken in the Van, and I'm sure we're going to get to why it's called that, because it's a take on Chicken Divan. My mom is the most amazing woman. She's 88 years old. She was a single mother, and she had her version of Chicken Divan, and I just loved it. And also, I got my best friend in the world, Kevin Castanola. So then Mrs. C is your typical Italian mother that cooks, was amazing. And so Mrs. C had her version of Chicken Divan. But the key was when I would go back to my mom's and say, hey, I had Mrs. C's Chicken Divan, I could never say, oh my gosh, it's so much better than yours.
No.
Likewise, I couldn't say that to Mrs. C, that my mom's was better. Growing up, I said, I'm going to merge those two recipes and get the best recipe from two of the most wonderful women in my life.
That's awesome. It's great to have not only your family of birth, but then a family of choice that come together. And it's great how food can actually connect the two in your life. And so go ahead and tell me what was different about their recipes.
The difference between my mom and Mrs. C's was, my mom had the Miracle Whip and then did a different mixture with different kind of soups. Mrs. C did mayo, but the key to Mrs. C's was she topped it with cheese and croutons. And so I always loved that part. So when I merged them together, I switched to the mayo, or to mayo, continued with my mom's versions, but one of the favorite seasonings I love in Indian food, Jamaican food, Thai food is curry.
So let's get to the name of the dish. I love this story and how this happened. So why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Yeah, so by background, I think it was in 2008, we're a soccer family. And I got asked to host soccer coaches from the Netherlands during the summer. Most of the Dutch guys speak very, very good English. They speak 3-4 languages. They're very fluent. But we had one soccer coach, Camille, who had broken English, and greatest guy in the world. He loved my Chicken Divan at the time. That when he got back to the Netherlands, he emailed me and he typed it up and he says, Doug, I loved your Chicken in the Van. Can you send me the recipe? So for all that time that I was making Chicken Divan, he thought we were calling it Chicken in the Van.
Awesome. Yeah. What a great story about connection, like not only family tradition, but also international relationships. And obviously that name has got to stick with this dish forevermore.
Yes.
That was great. Thank you so much, Doug, for talking with me and for submitting this awesome recipe. I can't wait to show everybody how to make it. The recipe will be posted online, so stay tuned for that. I've actually scaled it down a little bit. It does make a lot, and in the space we have here, it's easier for me to do this, and it'll all help demonstrate that people can make smaller quantities if they have fewer numbers of people to serve. So Chicken Divan is an old recipe, and it's something that I think everybody has a version of, but this one is very cool, and I had a lot of fun making it. So what you're gonna need is a head of broccoli, and what we need to do is we actually need to steam it. So once you've washed it, cut out some things. We can break it into little florets. And even this part, you think, oh, we can't have that, but you can save that and put that in salads, cut it up. It's really amazing. So we just break this up into florets. or florets if you're from France. And we're going to steam them, and we're not going to steam them for long, but we just want to get a really bright green color from them. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it over here and we're going to actually steam the broccoli because you want to get that nice green color I was talking about. And we will put it right in here. We've got some boiling water and we have a colander on top to keep the broccoli from soaking in the water, and it'll just steam it and cook it right through. So while this is steaming, I'm going to come on back over here and we're going to cut up some chicken. Now I pre-cooked it so that it would be done. You want to broil it on some foil, and you just don't want to cook it all the way through because it is going to bake again. So we just want to kind of chunk it out. Now if you want to go to the store and you want to purchase a chicken breast or 3 that are already cooked, that's fine. Or even some people have made it with rotisserie chicken. So I cut this down to about 3 chicken breasts, and that should be enough to feed about 4 people. So now we're going to move the chicken out of the way a little bit. We'll be right back to that in a second, but we want to put together this creamy, delicious sauce that's going to go over our chicken divan. So we're going to start out with a little mayonnaise. And with that, we're going to add cream of chicken soup, whichever variety is your favorite. And I am sure that if you wanted to, you could substitute a different one, cream of mushroom or cream of whatever. Okay, so then we're going to add a little bit of milk to this. That's good. And we're just going to kind of mix that up a little bit and kind of blend it into a little creamy sauce. And it might be a little bit better to use my handy dandy whisk for that, because that'll get it really incorporated nicely and allow for the spices that we're about to add to really bring the flavor alive. There we go. Okay, so we are going to add curry powder. And it's quite a bit of curry powder, but it really does make this dish come alive. And we're going to add garlic powder, onion powder, and some salt and pepper, which I pre-ground. It's always better to use fresh ground pepper. And we're going to mix that all in until it becomes this really cool Mediterranean tinged color to represent the curry. How's that look? It looks pretty good, huh? Now we're ready to put it all together. Okay, remember the broccoli that we were steaming on the stove? Well, I've got that right in here, and I've put it in the bottom of a beautiful baking dish, which is the first step to putting this all together. So the broccoli's going to be even, cover the bottom, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to that chicken that we cut up, and we're going to make sure that the chicken covers the broccoli. Then what we will do is put the sauce that we just put together over the top of that. Now in my big family of 5 siblings, this would have been gone in 5 minutes. We would have been ravaging at it on the table probably before it was even done cooking. So you spread this over there. Then we're going to, of course, we're going to put cheese on. It's always got to have cheese, right? So we're going to put a bunch of cheese over the top, and then we're going to top it with kind of smushed croutons. It gives it a nice crunchy top, and it'll help you know when it is done. So that's it. That's chicken in the van. And we're going to cook it at 375 for about 35 minutes with foil on it. So remember, I said to put the foil on top. We're going to put it in a 375 oven for 30 to 35 minutes until it's nice and bubbly. And then we're going to take the foil off and cook it for another 10 to 15 to brown it. So through the magic of television, we have cooked a batch of this already up, and it's just bubbling and hot, and it's great, and it's ready to serve over rice, potatoes, or even on its own. So here's the finished dish. It's creamy, it's cheesy, it's delicious. On behalf of the Cuyahoga County Public Library, I want to thank you for joining us on Cuyahoga Cooks. I want to thank everybody who submitted recipes, and especially thanks to the winners of our contest. They were wonderful, they were fun, and I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you'll also visit the library and check out some of our other culinary resources. We've got cookbooks, we've got downloadable ebooks, we have lots of videos, and just something for everybody. And I also want to thank the great people here at Somrak Kitchens for letting us film here. We've had the best time, and it's a great showroom. Be sure to check it out.